advance.
Were there any plot lines that people wanted to know about in advance? Like, I'm sure there were some people like, oh, so you work on that show? Can you tell me what's about to happen?
All the time.
Yeah.
I love to talk, and I've always loved to talk about the show, and whoever I would meet, you'd get on the subject. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, what do you do? And as soon as they hear, I'm a cameraman on One Life to Live. Oh my God! Oh! Do you know Bo and Asa and Vicky and what's going to happen? And I would not really tell.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we were sworn to secrecy, but
you don't want to spoil a surprise.
Unwritten, you weren't really supposed to tell anybody what's going to happen, but I always did. I mean, like my immediate family, whoever watched the show, I'm like, oh, you're not going to believe what's going to happen in 6 weeks. So, when I was single, if I met a girl and she was interested, then I would tell her. But...
Now, eventually, you became a director.
Yes.
Of the show. When was that? When did that start?
Toward the end of 1995. After working 17-hour days, 5 days a week, I was just getting really burned out, and I needed a change. And I had a young daughter at home and another one on the way. And like I say, it was tough because I lived in central New Jersey, and if we finished at 10 o'clock, I had to go down to the Port Authority bus terminal, and I wouldn't make a bus till 11 o'clock at night and get home after midnight and get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
And doing this, night after night. We didn't finish 10 o'clock every night, but, even 7:30. So I would make an 8 o'clock bus, and I would be home, 9 o'clock, a little after 9. And I just got really, really burned out, and it was affecting my work. And I'm not like that. I'm a team player, and I didn't like that it was affecting my work. And I was very friendly with, the executive producer, and I asked to talk to her one day, and of course she said, sure, come up. And I sat and I told her, I said, either I have to do something else or I'm going to blow my brains out. It just got to the point. I don't know if I would have done that, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And she said to me, did you ever think about directing? And I said, actually, yes. I said, I've been, when the directors come out to talk to the actors in dress rehearsal, or, if they don't like a way a scene is going in taping, the director will come out and talk to them. And being on camera, you were right there. So I always had one ear listening to how the director spoke to the actors. So I did have an interest. So she said, she said to me, I'll tell you what, let's start you off slow. She said, we'll give you some scripts, and, you go through a couple of scenes and put in your camera shots, and I'll have one of the other directors check to see if everything makes sense and all this. And she said, we'll start you off slow. You do a couple of scenes, and then maybe 2 weeks later you'll do a couple of more scenes and all. So I finally got my chance to direct 3 scenes, and I was still, my main job was to be a cameraman, but I was able to they gave me the script, and I went to the production meeting that they had every Thursday, and that's where you discuss if there's any special needs, if you have questions about the upcoming script, and So I did my first 3 scenes were with the actor who played Cord Roberts, who was actually my best friend in real life.
Oh.
His real name is John Loprino. And we were very friendly. He and his wife and his little kids were very friendly with me and my wife and my kids. We would get together on the weekends and barbecue, and the kids would play, and we would sit around and have beers and eat. And he was just such a great guy. So, and it was him and the guy who played his father, God rest his soul, Clint Ritchie, who played Clint on the show. And he and I got along great. So they were very helpful, and whatever I asked them to do, they did. And I got through those 3 scenes, and the producers were very happy, and then, like I say, a few weeks later, I got 3 more scenes, and then they started to come a little more frequent, and then they started to give me 6 scenes, and this was all while I was on camera. The day that I was directing, I would have to, what they call, take a leave of absence from doing the camera work, and because it's 2 different unions, the Directors Guild of America. So I had to join the Directors Guild, which is a really big deal, because me and Steven Spielberg were in the same union.
Yeah.
I call him Steve, and he says, "Who are you?" No, so
a fellow director, come on.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever, go get me a cup of coffee." But so I did that for, like I say, they would give me more and more scenes and more frequently, and because I did a good job at the directing, soon I was doing like half shows, and then a regular director would do the other half of the show.
Would they match up? Were your directing styles? I mean, is there a certain style you have to follow, or can you throw in a little bit?
Not particularly, but it was like it wasn't scenes in the same set with the same actors, so I could basically do what I want. Like again, in like a restaurant scene, I can do what I had all the scenes in the restaurant, and then just whatever another set would be, the bar set, I would have those, and then the other director would have the other sets.
But were you were in constant? Were you in communication with each other, saying, "Okay, this is
absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
important."
Yeah. And then after about a year of doing that, then I was doing full episodes.
What was your first episode like that you directed all by yourself?
It was awesome. Well, I have to go back to the day that I did those 3 scenes, my very first 3 scenes. And I remember the first thing I said, and everybody listened. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I don't even get this at home. And, if I needed a table moved, I would call it props, and the prop guys would come running. What do you need? And things like that. So that was pretty cool. And again, like I say, but it was very, very difficult because a lot of planning goes into directing a soap opera.
I would imagine.
The director gets their script about 8 days in advance. First, about 2 weeks before, you get a rough rundown of the script, and then it's edited by the script editors, and then it's put into script form. And about 8 days prior to shooting your episode, you get your script, and then you have 7 days to work on your script. That's just reading the script, understanding what the scenes are about, and then picturing it in your head where you want the actors to move and when they should sit down and get up and walk over here and walk over there. But also you have to know your camera angles, because you have to know what will work and what won't work, what can be seen and what can't be seen. And you also have to know lighting. Hey, can they be lit there? If you want to put somebody under a bed, I'm just using that as an example, you have to make a note and you have to talk to the lighting director. Hey, I'm going to have, Joe hide under the bed. So can you put some kind of a light under there? So again, like we said before, there's a lot of communications with all kinds of departments. And excuse me. And then you put your camera shots in. You're given floor plans for each set, so you can figure out where you see where the furniture is and where the entry doors are and windows and all this stuff. And like I say, a lot of planning goes into it. And then it's your day, and you're in charge of the whole day. You get in. I would get in 6 o'clock in the morning and walk around the sets to make sure everything looked right and the lighting people were still lighting, and then we would start what's called dry rehearsal, usually around 7 o'clock in the morning, and that was in a room downstairs. It was a big room. Dry rehearsal is the actors come in fresh out of bed, which was a problem sometimes, and the director is there, the associate director, a production assistant, and that's where the director goes through each scene and gives the actors their blocking. Blocking is another word for movement. So we're going through a scene and the phone rings. So it's okay, the phone is over here on the desk. So we'll cross over and pick the phone up and face this way. This is where the camera shot is. So things like that. And the actors would write all their blocking down so that when we got up on the set and we're going through the scenes for all the technical people, they would know, oh, okay, the phone's ringing. Okay, this is where I cross over there. And I pick the phone up and I face out this way. And hopefully everything works.
Of course.
Because doing it on paper and doing it, with all the equipment and all the people around are two different things. But
for sure,
that's part of being a good director is knowing your angles, and your technical stuff as well as being able to deal with the actors, which that's another story.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Most actors love a good director. Were you on the set, or were you like in a soundproof booth or something when you're directing?
Well, for camera blocking, the director is out on the set. So, again, if an actor is making a move and there's a big piece of furniture in the way, that's where the director will say, just cut 1 second. Props, can we just move this chair to the left or to the right? And the prop guys would come onto the set and move the chair and then mark the chair. So if it got moved, they always put it back on their marks. So things like that. And but for the actual dress rehearsal and taping, we were in a separate control room. And there was the director, the technical director, who would sit at this huge console with 1 million buttons and lights and all. And as we're going through the scenes, the director says, take one, which means take camera one, ready, camera two, then take two, and the technical director punches camera two. and there's a million monitors in front of you, and